Let's go, let's go, let's go. Alright, people wanna hate every day, it's okay.
All right, welcome back, Reckless Success. Tonight we got my beautiful wife Ellie on.
Hi.
Everybody loves Ellie. And we're going to tell some stories, talk about business, talk about a little crazy times, a little backstory on us. We own an excavating business. I went to prison at 25, 24, something like that, and got home at 30. And I got out of prison. I didn't really have nothing to go on. Just I learned a lot while I was in there, and I turned my life around. And I met my wife again. We reconnected, and since then we've been starting businesses and building them, and just basically being entrepreneurs and
Yeah.
getting a paycheck from our own company, which is crazy
It
sometimes
is
to think
crazy.
about.
Self-taught. We don't come from families of business owners, and well, Jesse's grandparents owned a business a long, long time ago, but we started all our things on our own. We weren't
Yeah,
handed down any companies or money or anything like that to get started.
we
So we're
we learned
self-made
every
with all of
step.
our businesses. Yeah, self-taught
Yep.
along the way.
So that's where we're at, and we're just kind of spreading the word that just because you're at the bottom doesn't mean you'll always be there. After you get out of that, whatever cycle you're in, whether it's drugs or just laziness,
Hmm.
video games, whatever, and you get out there and work and you figure out the process, it's really easy to get ahead. And even when I look back on how I used to sell drugs, I never had no money. I
Yeah.
was a drug dealer. I must have been the brokest drug dealer around because I don't remember having much money. I always had drugs, but no money. Now that I'm not a drug dealer and I'm working for it, the money saves up a lot easier than whenever you're trying to rob Peter to pay Paul.
Right.
Is what I was doing. I was just running around in circles and not getting nowhere with life.
Yeah. And then Jesse also adds lots of entertainment value in stories from his wild youth leading up to when he got sentenced to prison and his time in prison, which is all pretty entertaining. And we don't recommend that behavior, but it's funny. It's interesting to look back on it and let him tell his stories.
Which brings me to my next story. My nephew this week got his ear pierced. All little kids, they want to get their ear pierced.
Yeah.
And he likes to skateboard and
Oh,
stuff,
yeah.
so I'd say they probably got theirs pierced.
He's a cool kid.
And I was talking to my brother about it, and it reminded me when I got my ears pierced. So
He no longer wears an earring
I
now,
don't
though.
have an earring now, but at one time I had double. I had double
Ooh.
piercing,
Just double on one ear or like,
just one
oh,
ear.
okay.
Yeah, back in my day, it had to be the left ear. The watch and the earring went on the left, and if you put it on the right, I mean you're funny, like not haha, but funny,
Oh,
funny queer type.
okay.
So
That's funny.
I had it on my left. I had two earrings. I thought I was a little stud. I was probably like 13. I had the bowl haircut. Now, one of the influences in my life was Bob Woosley. And he's this old man that lived across the street from my dad that was just rowdier than hell. And he worked in the coal mines. He was like the boss in the coal mines when he worked. And now he's had a bunch of DUIs. So his mode of transportation would be this old, like, Ford in tractor, like old school tractor from the
Are you
50s.
driving on the roads?
Yeah, because you don't have to have a license to drive a
What? Come
tractor.
on.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know if that law is still the same, but in
Like
Illinois, you
if
don't
you're
have
on
to
the
have,
road, you'd think you'd have to have
you
a
would
license,
think,
but
but if as long as you got a slow moving tractor
oh
sign on the back, he
wow.
could drive. So every night you would see or every morning you would see his tractor at the bar. Like, I don't know if he'd walk home or it wouldn't start or whatever, but you'd go
Hmm.
through town and see this little tractor parked at the bar, or you'd see him go into the bar on it. But he was wild. One time, my dad dropped his lighter down between. We were sitting on like a equipment trailer, and my dad was sitting on the fender, and we are all standing around talking. And I'm just a little kid. I mean, I was probably in the way. Who knows what was really going on,
Oh yeah.
around me that I didn't know about. And my dad drops his lighter, and it fell down under the trailer. And he gets down and he goes to crawl under the trailer to get it. And Bob gets down there and bit him on the ass
What?
so hard through his jeans. Like, just when my dad was bent over, this old man got down there, and I mean, he left teeth marks
Oh my
on my dad's
gosh.
ass cheek. He bit it so hard through his jeans. My
Jesus.
dad's, yeah, they're about to fight, like all this. So that's what I'm growing up around. Back to the earring. I come over to Bob's, and there's like all these guys, because what we would do is it would be winter time or whatever, and Bob had a wood stove in his barn. So everybody'd party there and
Mm.
drink beer, and I don't know what the hell I was doing, picking up the
Well,
cans
I
on the ground
think
and drinking what was left.
it's worth saying, like, Jesse's parents got married very young and got divorced very young. So, like, by the time they were, like, what, 23 or 24, they were done. They're already divorced.
2 kids and
Two
divorced.
kids, yeah. So Jesse's brother was 5 years older. Jesse's only 6 months when his parents split up. So I think from stories I've heard, they both were still young, wanted to go out and have fun and party with their friends, but now they both have 2 kids.
I'm telling you, those 20s are tough.
So, I think sometimes, your mom drops you off for dad weekend and, well, dad's not going to like change his weekend plans just because
Yeah.
dude's little kid's around like, come on,
No.
we're going to the barn party. We're going to the bar. We're
And
going
it
wherever
was
we're
just
going.
that time too.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
all my
In the
dad's
80s,
buddies.
it was so different.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was around all
And
kinds of
this was
stuff
the
too.
90s, which was even better. I mean, they were going
Oh,
hard. They were partying
I guess,
hard.
yeah, you were a little bit older
They
if you were
thought
going
the
out.
world was coming to an end. you
Yeah.
know?
Everyone's just having a good time. But that's why you were around because I think parents did that a lot. They just brought their kids with them places
Yeah.
like whatever.
Yeah,
Like
they
we didn't wear
just,
seatbelts. We didn't, there
I
was,
mean, all I really knew that they were doing as a kid was drinking beer and smoking cigarettes.
right.
So as a kid,
So whatever, you're just hanging out.
whatever, they're having a good time. Every now and then it'd get hairy and they'd start fighting and I'd be like, who do I gotta go after? I'd always be looking at who the
Oh,
smallest
you're
dude
like
is.
whipping out your little pocket knife.
Yeah.
5-year-old.
So
So you're at the barn parties or
we're
whatever.
at the barn party and I show up, mom drops me off, and I got my double ear pierced. And Bob's like giving me shit about my ear piercing, All the guys were. And Bob undid his pants, pulled his dick out, big old man dick, and I'm a little kid. And he took a nail and he shoved it through his dick.
Oh my God.
And he said, "If I'll do that to my dick, what do you think I'll do to your little pecker?"
Oh
And I turned,
This is so traumatizing.
he did. And I turned around, dude. I swear, my dad lived like at that time a block away. I got there so fast, I took off running. I mean, but it turns out,
Oh
so there was
God.
a guy there, one of my dad's friends, and he had been in the military. And when Bob done that, he said, "I've been in 7 countries and every state and all around the world." And he said, "I've never seen no shit like that."
Yeah. Oh my God.
It was a 16 penny nail. It was a big nail. And
That is so weird.
it turned out that when he was circumcised, like the way his skin grew back left like a pocket under
Oh
the
my
skin, and that
God.
was his like party trick, is
Shut
he would
up.
get
He's
his dick
doing
out and
that.
stick a nail through it.
It's just such a weird thing to do, and it's such a weird thing to do to a kid. Like people are so funny. Like back then, people could do the
Yeah.
craziest stuff, and like no one thought twice about it. If you did that nowadays, like you'd be in
Oh yeah,
jail.
this was Hearst. Like one time, me and TJ might have been there. TJ that was on, Jesse Cox, a couple other guys. We're all in Hearst. We're walking down the main street, and we're only walking like another 6 blocks to my dad's house. And this guy we don't know pulls up in this little bitty tiny truck, like a Mazda or some shit. And he's like, "You want to ride?" Hell yeah. So me and Jesse, pretty sure it's Jesse Cox, we hop in the front, and it was like a bench seat, standard
Yeah.
cab little truck. And the other guys jumped in the bed. And we get to the stop sign, and the guy goes, "Which way?" And I said, "Straight." And he looked at me and he goes, "Son, I'll go forward, but I'll never go straight." And then he took off, and as he's going to the next stop sign, I was like thinking, because I'm just a little kid, I'm like, I'm probably
Like,
about the
wait a
same age, like
second.
13. I'm like, what the fuck's he talking
Piecing
about?
that together.
And it pieced together. Me and Jesse are like, I was like, this is good. Just drop us off
We're
here.
here.
Yeah, we didn't have Facebook to like call him out back then. You know what I
Oh
mean? It was just some
no.
creepy old dude that
Picking up young boys on the
he
side
shot
of the
a
road.
shot.
I feel like lots of crazy stuff happened to you in Hearst.
Yeah, Hearst was pretty wild. I remember we used to go to the hunting and fishing days out here, and Wade's dad was the tobacco guy.
Oh yeah.
So he would be giving out free samples. They used to give out free samples of chew.
Mm-hmm.
And again, I'm like probably 12 or at this age group. We go out there, me and my dad, and he would get those sample packs, and you would get like a little book, and you open it up and it had little pouches of different flavors. And it had quite a bit of tobacco,
kinda
probably
cool.
a can in total. And every year, boy, I couldn't wait to go there because I knew I got the sample pouches.
Shut up.
Yeah,
That's so
because that's like
bad.
shit for the kids, you know what I mean? Sample
Oh my
pack. Here, you guys, you get the little
God.
beef jerky and the chew.
Jesus.
And I remember one night, me and Levi Lacey were over at his house, and we just got back from hunting and fishing days, and I had those, and I'm like, "You want to chew?" He's like, "Yeah." I pulled out my little sample packs, and we both got us a big dip, and I started puking.
Oh,
I was swallowing it. I didn't know how to chew.
ew.
Yep,
Thinking you were cool.
thinking I was cool, and I remember laying on his like little concrete step, thinking I was just a little kid, and I was green. I turned green. I was sick,
Ew.
and I was thinking, what the world?
Like, why
That's
do they
what they're
do this?
doing?
Right.
Yeah,
Why would they do this?
yeah,
Should you tell about your first police chase since we're talking about Hearst?
yeah. And we could talk about my first police chase if we haven't already. We might have.
I don't think we have. Well, and the thing to know too about the Hearst area, if you aren't from this where we live, is it's so small. So like all the places like where the houses Jesse was hanging out with his dad was probably like what, like a block from the bar. Like there's a
Yeah.
bunch of bars.
It's like 600 people.
And it's
I
like a
think.
rural community. So yeah, it's like you were really close to home at all times,
Mhm.
whether you're like in the woods or at someone's house or at the bar.
Right.
And so it's not like you were like going like,
And everybody knew everybody. They
yeah,
all party. Like
yeah,
they all
like the whole
party.
town partied together.
My dad met my stepmom okay, so Hearst is the place that I told people. I've been to Mardi Gras and I've been to Hearst on New Year's Eve. And Hearst on New Year's Eve was a bigger party than Mardi Gras.
That's so funny.
Like it's got a square in the center of
It used
town.
to be a booming coal mine town. Lots of the coal miners live there, I
Yep.
think, is what Tracy said.
Yeah, it did. It had a mine right on the edge of town. And the square had 3 bars around it. 3 or 4.
Mm-hmm. Four, I
Bugsy's
think,
Bugsy's
yeah.
was still there. And like just so many people in that square. That square was full of people and they're all going in and out of bars. I was like, what in the hell? But in the 90s, when my dad met my stepmom, he met her at a mud volleyball. Like they
Yeah.
would dig out the park and dig out 2 foot down and put a volleyball court and fill it full of mud. And then all my dad and his buddies would get out there. He's got pictures. Everybody, the whole town. They'd have mud all over them and like hitting them. There's no way you could get me to go get in a fucking muddy
No,
pit
a mud
and try to
with
play
sticks
volleyball.
and God knows what else in the
Yeah.
mud and like, ew,
Yeah.
that'd be not fun at all.
My dad's crew was like, one of his good buddies was, some crews have got him. This dude was like 450 pounds and just a big old boy, but he could work. He was like a guy that would do laborious work all day, but was still big as
So
shit.
weird.
I don't know how that happens. It's got to be genetics.
Yeah,
But like he's out there
playing mud
spiking the
volleyball.
ball, and my stepmom, she's maybe like 8 years younger than my dad or something, maybe
Yeah,
10.
Maybe 10, yeah.
And she said she saw him all out there slimed up.
Ah,
And
they
was
fell in love.
Yeah, and was like, that's the one right there.
Jesse's dad tells a story that like he was sitting at the bar after the mud volleyball tournament, which I'm sure he won,
Yeah.
and the bar door kicked open, and there's Jesse's stepmom, like with her
her
eyes
80s
set
hair.
on
Like all
Scott.
you see is her like
Covered in
Stevie Nicks
mud.
looking hair.
I wish I had a video of that.
They're a good fit for sure.
Oh, yeah.
She definitely pulled him out of his
Yes.
party stage.
Scott wouldn't be who he is right now without Tracy.
Yeah.
For sure. But anyway, so your first police chase took place in this, or not even in this town. You were the
Not
next
even in
town
this
over.
town. We were all the way over in Royalton.
Go, you
there
tell it,
for
'cause
my
I don't know the
first
whole
police
story.
chase. So, as a kid, I'd go to my dad's on the weekends, and our hobby was to ride 4-wheelers. It's like
All
he would
weekend
work
long.
all week, and then all weekend, Friday, Saturday, we'd ride, we'd camp out.
Gosh.
Like that's all we'd do. I think maybe because he didn't have a house. I don't know.
He had nowhere to take you.
Yeah, maybe
So
I
we're
just
going
didn't
to the
realize
woods.
as a kid that he was homeless. I don't know.
Who knows?
But we always had a badass camp spot down on the river, and there was just him and all his buddies had 4-wheelers. So this is in the 90s. Let's see, late 80s, coming into the 90s, and 4-wheelers were like just they went from 3-wheelers to 4-wheelers right before that. So 4-wheelers are just coming out. I remember 250cc was a big one, which now is like the one that he bought the other day. My dad
That's funny.
yeah, like a little bitty
Yeah,
one. That
how
was
weird.
the biggest one you could get back when I was a
Wow.
kid, because he bought one, and it was like the biggest thing you could get at the 4-wheeler place, a Timberwolf. And I was like, damn, that's badass.
That's funny.
But so we would go, and they would bar hop, and
On their
it was
4-wheelers?
Dad's weekend. Well, he wasn't getting a sitter or nothing, which
Oh,
is good.
right.
I'm riding with him, I wanted to go. So I would ride my own little 4-wheeler, and I didn't even have a headlight. I had a TRX Honda 90 4-wheeler, a little red one, and it didn't have a headlight. We tried everything. We strapped flashlights,
Aw.
but you got to think this is before LEDs, so it was like those old, halogen
Not doing
lights.
much.
It wasn't doing much. So my dad would lead through the woods and I would be behind him, and then whoever was behind me, their headlights would
That's
shine.
so nuts. I
And
can't
that's
believe
how
as a
we would
kid
ride.
you would do that. Like
I'd
that would
have my
be
little
so
helmet
scary.
on, just like,
Oh
yeah.
my
And I'm
gosh.
talking like hills. And like
Yeah.
they just go. And I'd
Yeah.
just be going behind
Your
them. I'd
dad's not gonna
flip.
let you sissy out. He's like, you better keep up with us or you're
I
left
flipped so
behind.
many times as a little kid. I remember rolling, like I'd go.
Oh,
There was this one hill right behind his house coming off the railroad bed, and every time I would flip. Every day, every time we went up it for like 6 months,
oh
I'd
my
go up and
God.
it turned at the top, and I'd just drive straight into a tree and flip over and stuff. I was
I'm
probably
telling you, it's
6
a
at that
wonder
time.
you didn't get killed at some point in your life. Like, it's a
Yeah,
miracle. It's probably why you've been so fearless now, though, and why you were able to ride so well when you were running from the police and stuff, because you started
right,
so young, and like your dad was teaching you, like, it doesn't matter if you fall, it doesn't matter if you get hurt. Here's all the right things to do. Here's how you don't get hurt. You know what I mean? Like, he taught you
right,
so young. It was like, it's like natural for you to ride.
right.
I think I've said before, I trust you more in an off-road vehicle than when we're in the car. Like I'm always like, Jesse, like stop swerving. What are you doing? Look at the road. Like, and you're like, I'm fine, which he drives fine. But like if we're in a side by side, like going super fast up a hill, I'm like totally content. Like I know we're gonna be fine.
I think she's more like feels safer than I feel. I'm
Ah,
like all nerved up.
I
She's over
I
there
should.
just like fixing her
I'm
hair in
like
the
knitting.
mirror. I'm like climbing a big hill and yeah.
Oh,
But
that's good to know.
well, actually, I started running from the cops at a young age, so I was about 9, and we went to. I remember we were in Royalton, and this particular night it was
So
me
how far is that from Hearst? Like miles or distance or
via from driving on the road. It's like 10 miles, but
going
going
four-wheeler
on the four
path?
wheeler, it's like 3 hours because we had
Oh
trails
my
all down the river,
gosh.
the
Wow.
riverbank trails. So we're up there. We'd probably got up there earlier in the evening, but now it's late. It's like midnight, and we'd go to the bars, and I remember I used to order kitty cocktails. I was a
I
little
like the
kid.
bars would let you in and let you
Oh
sit
yeah,
there all the old drunk
I'd
people.
sit
That's
there at the
so
bar.
crazy. It is such different times. Like that's just so
Yeah,
funny.
I'd tell them we'd pull up behind the bar. That's why I think that's why I always want to go in the back door of a bar. I never want to go in the front, And we'd always go to the back door so they could go in and see who's there because they were always fighting, my dad and his buddies.
Oh,
Yeah. And so anyways, we get to the bar. I'm drinking kitty cocktails. Well, I don't even know what it was, like a little Shirley Temple or
probably, yeah.
something. And we leave, and again, I don't have a headlight, and my dad's buddy's in front. And at the time, he had a Polaris. It was like a 325 two-stroke 4x4. It was really nice. I thought it was just the cat's ass. And he's in front. I'm in the center. My dad's behind me. And I look over, and it's probably like midnight or something.
So
And I look over and I see a cop car a block
crazy.
through the block, like he's on the road parallel to us.
Uh-oh.
But he's speeding up real fast, and he goes up and he gets in front of us. He goes up, turns, and
What?
cuts in front of us. And I'm thinking in my head, like, I didn't say nothing. I don't think they saw him over there. And I'm seeing the cop, but I'm
Oh,
like, damn, that sucks. There's the cops. And I always thought cops were bad at that age. I don't know. Yeah, I
right.
just knew that it wasn't going to turn out good.
Right.
Every time the cops come,
You're
somebody's
something.
going to
Yeah, it's
jail.
trouble.
Um, so the cop pulls up and he pulls in front of my dad's buddy. And I'm thinking, damn, and we all stop. My dad's buddy just, why? And throw, because, in the center of the four-way, there's always like loose rock where the cars are
Mm-hmm.
turning. And he just got in that and just covered the cop car. And took off. And the cop car went after him. And then my dad's like, come on. And I'm like,
No,
I got
on your
behind him.
little, what was it, a 90?
It was a little 90,
Oh
yeah.
my
And then I
God.
remember we went down like 2 blocks and it's farm fields, and we hit the farm field, but the combine had just went by, I guess, and there was like these big ruts. So right when we get in there, we start hitting these like big 2-foot ruts,
Oh my God.
and I got stuck a couple times, and then we had purposely went around this field because to get out of this field was this humongous hill. Like, well, I couldn't have never climbed it at that age. They probably couldn't either. I don't know who the hell was climbing this hill.
Yeah.
But we had to go down it, and it's night. And I don't have a headlight. You gotta
Oh
remember, still,
my
like, even if my dad's at
God.
top, shining his lights, like,
Your
trying to.
dad's like,
I'm
keep
just
up or
like,
you're going to jail.
yeah, he's like, come on, they're coming. I think we just got unstuck and went right down it, like.
Oh my God.
So that was my first encounter.
And so you made it home, and then it was just like,
Yeah,
all
we made it
right,
home.
that
Yeah,
was that.
it was all good.
Oh my God, that is so
I don't know if I
crazy.
ever told my mom about that or not.
Probably not. She would have
Probably
flipped
not.
out. We grew up so differently.
I don't know.
My dad was a state police officer when I grew up, so me and Jesse had like complete opposite upbringings. It's so crazy.
Right. One time, my dad's always doing fun shit, right?
He's a fun guy.
He's a fun guy. Like, he just bought my son and my brother's son four-wheelers the other day. Like, what? One day he's driving down the road and he sees a four-wheeler for sale. He's got a side-by-side and he stops and buys it. It's the same one
He
that
loves
Corey
buying
had here,
stuff.
I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, Jesse's dad loves shopping.
So, one time he bought me a go-kart. It was like $300. We went to Carbondale and got it. And we went out I was young. It was like my 9th birthday or somewhere in that range. And we went out to SIU. He unloads it, and I'm going in that big parking lot, by 51.
Mm-hmm.
And the cops come, and they run us off. So we go to Hurst, Bush, because Hurst is 600 people. Then there's this other little weird town called Bush that's even smaller, like 300 people.
Right.
So we go to the school there. I'm going around the track. It's an abandoned school. Cops come, run us off. Damn, can't go nowhere. There's 2 cops one day.
That's weird.
And we load it up and we go to my grandpa's apartments on Bryan Street. Which that parking lot's small,
Yeah, it's a weird place to go to ride a go-kart.
To ride a go-kart, but we couldn't go anywhere. That's the only
That
place we could
would be like
think.
private property. Your dad probably
Right.
thought it's my parents,
I
so
was
they
wanting to
can't
ride.
run us off of here.
Yeah, it's a fast little go-kart.
We'll go terrorize my your grandparents' apartment complex.
We got there, and I start going around in a circle in their parking lot, and the throttle's stuck. And I'm turned around trying to get this thing to stop because it's got like a little,
Oh my God.
governor or whatever on it. I don't know. I was a little kid, and I know my dad was like, sometimes throttle sticks. You got to reach back here and pull this.
Oh.
So throttle sticks, and it's like, going wide open. I'm trying to reach back. He had those big bushes in front of the doorways.
Yeah.
I went right between them and smoked right into that brick wall.
What?
Yeah.
That's insane.
Yeah, and an old junky go-kart, little tires
You're
still
okay?
spinning.
You just walked away from it?
I'm sure it hurt like hell.
Well, yeah, but like you weren't, no broken bones, you're
No,
fine.
I was good. Yeah,
Oh my
as a kid,
God.
I don't know, I just felt like I fell a lot without getting broken bones.
Right.
Like those bones were rubber at that time.
Yeah, that's crazy and so dangerous and reckless.
Right, and reckless. Yeah, there was a point when I got older where I was the decoy. Like my dad and his buddies advanced from these little four-wheelers to now they've got big 4x4. We're getting into later years now. I'm like 15 or something like that. I was 16, 15. And I would be the decoy. Like they needed to go get gas. They all had CBs and these Kentucky beer holders, which was PVC pipe. And they called them Kentucky. They went riding with a bunch of NASCAR guys down in Kentucky. What? And all these dudes had these pipes, and they were just sticking their beer in there. And they were like, "Oh man, every one of my dad's buddies had pipes all over. They'd have their beers in there." Oh, and I'd be the decoy. And whenever they would go to Casey's to get gas, I'd get out there on the highway and just chase cops. Like it was my job to go.
Try to keep the cops away from where they were so they didn't get in trouble.
And then whenever they got behind me, I'd take them down the road and ditch them and then meet them down in the woods.
And that's how you learn to run from the cops?
Oh, I was running by that point.
On your own?
Yeah, that wasn't nothing. That was just another day in paradise. By the time I was 15 and I got that Raptor, because before that I had a Wolverine 4x4. And when my dad would buy me stuff, like he would set it all up. Like I got this 4x4.
Nice.
He put big old Super Swamper tires on it. Exhaust. It had a White Brothers E-Series exhaust. It's funny. Me and Jesse Cox used to always say, people would ask me what kind of four-wheeler I had, and I'd be like, 350 Wolverine. It was a Wolverine with a White Brothers E-Series pipe, a jet kit. I can't remember what all my saying was.
You would like list all the extras.
I'd say it, and then when I'd stop, Jesse Cox would go, and a new boot. Because I ripped the boot on the 4x4 thing, and I had to get a boot, and he'd always be like, in a new boot.
Golly.
But he got that. Before that, I had a 300EX, and the 300EX was my first clutch wheelie ride. And I literally got on this four-wheeler. I never rode a clutch again. This is exactly how it happened. I got on this four-wheeler. I didn't make it 100 yards into the woods, never rode a clutch, and I'm seriously riding second gear wheelies on this thing. I like instantly clicked with
Really?
It, with that 300EX.
That's nuts.
And I would ride. All I ever did on that was ride wheelies.
That's so crazy. When were you? So you're like 14 probably when you got that?
I was probably like 14. But before that, I had other four-wheelers, like Bayous and stuff. And I was riding wheelies on those. And
That's
those are
crazy.
Like, those are utility. That's where I'm like standing on the rack to get it up.
Because they're so big and
'cause
heavy
they're
and
so
not meant for
big.
like...
But 300EX. So I got that. And it's just like, at 13, 14, my dad lived, what, 10 minutes from my mom at least, down a
Yeah, or
long way. You got to go
15.
down like a pretty busy road, to get from Hearst to Carterville.
That's probably a 15, 20 minute drive
It's probably 15,
on the
20 minute
road.
drive.
Yeah.
And I would literally go to my dad's from my mom's on my four-wheeler. Like,
Like as a kid.
yeah. I'd talk to my dad, what are you guys doing? Oh, we're out riding. All right. Well, me and my buddies and all my buddies, like Brooks and Jesse and all of us at 14. And we would like leave our parents' house in
Oh my
Carterville and
God.
ride on the road. And we had little trails everywhere. So we just cut through and go up there and ride. And then after the weekend was over, I'd ride my four-wheeler home.
That's crazy. We have our oldest son is like that age, so it's so hard. Like I would never let him leave for longer than like 10 minutes on his four-wheeler.
Right.
Can you
I'd
imagine?
be gone for days.
With no cell phone or anything?
Yeah.
Like, oh my God. Ugh.
Yeah, we would camp out at the Hearst Bridge. Under the bridge was under the pretense of me and the boys are going camping.
Oh my
And
God.
all we would do is, which is really all we did, but we never slept. We would just ride all night.
That's so crazy.
Yeah. I can't say that at 14 we were really drinking.
That's good. So you really were just like
We were
out there
just
having
riding.
fun, being
Yeah.
kids.
One time, my dad, we were coming up the side road from Console into Hearst, and there's this train track, and he stopped us because he had to go to his buddies. I don't know, I wasn't allowed to go to the plug's house or whatever, but me and my boys had to stay back. We were probably 13. While my dad was gone, we heard a train coming, and Jason had a bunch of quarters. And he went over and he stacked 1 quarter and then 2 quarters and then like 3 quarters and then 4 on the train track.
Oh.
And when this train come by, like we're just thinking it's going to smash the quarters flat. I don't know. We weren't really thinking, but it made it like a ramp. And when this train came by,
What?
it was going boom, 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 boom. It was like the whole,
For quarters?
yeah, the whole train cars were boom, boom. The train stops. I'm like, oh my God. They're like hitting the brakes
my
and stopping.
God.
I remember we had, what was that, aftershock or something? It was cold because I remember sitting there and drinking that with them with my buddies. Like that was what
Oh, that was.
it was, like a cinnamon liquor that had a bunch of. I could drink it because it had rock candy in it.
Oh, that's
So it's
weird.
kind of like on the candy aisle, I'd say.
Oh my God.
Like, let me get that one.
Yeah.
But yeah, my dad got back before the conductor like realized we were off the road or off the train track, on a road. So before he got to us, he came back. Now there's a train stop, and
That's
we're all just
so
like,
bad.
yeah, yeah.
You
Well,
coulda
we
killed
started
somebody.
riding up towards because we stayed about a mile out of town on this gravel road, so we started riding up towards him, and then
I wonder what
yeah, we about
happened with
derailed
the
the train.
train.
It stopped. I'm sure it just stopped and
Yeah, but
figured out
that's
what was on the
crazy. Oh my
tracks.
God.
I guess it'll flatten 1 quarter, but if you put
Yeah.
1, 2, 3,
Right,
and
right.
4, it makes like a
That's weird
yep.
and surprising.
We were freaked out. We thought we were in big
Yeah,
trouble.
you would have been in huge trouble.
All right, let's talk a little business.
Okay. So I'm excited because for over a year, probably for like a year and a half to 2 years ago, I started working on getting our excavation business certified as woman-owned small business because I'm the majority owner of our business and always have been. And like Jesse said, he obviously runs our equipment, but everything else that has to do with the business I've been doing since day one. So we had some friends encourage us to get certified as woman-owned small business through the government. So like for government contracting. So you can do that through the federal government, which is woman-owned small business, and then also through the state, which is separate. In Illinois, it's WBE, Women Business Enterprise, I'm pretty sure. So it's 2 separate deals. So the federal one I submitted everything last July, so almost a full year to get back any kind of information. It took like 8 months, and then they requested additional information and documents and different things I had to do. So
They really went through it with like a fine-tooth comb.
yeah, and they do, and that's the whole point. So like it's a big process to submit. You have to send all this paperwork, fill out all this information about your business and the people involved and whatnot. And then it takes them a long time to review it. And then they come back with like additional questions and documentation. So that's been taking up a lot of my time lately because it did a couple years ago and then did recently trying to get all this additional documentation to them. So like I worked with our attorney to do a restatement of bylaws, which basically the bylaws we had are just something I like Googled a long time ago when we started our corporation because I didn't know what I was doing. We didn't know how to start a
learning as
corporation.
we go.
Yeah, so it was like I did my best, and he said they weren't bad. Like they covered everything they needed to for the most part, but there were some things I had left out that you needed to state, like you have to state, who is in each role in a corporation and just different stuff that I don't know, it's supposed to be in there. So he helped me do a restatement of those. So I used my resources with him and like our accountant to get all the accounting stuff together. And on June 4th, they sent me an approval letter that I was certified. So that's a big step for our business because we want to get more into commercial work and we want to do more government contracts. And there's a set aside. So when you're a minority or woman owned business and you get certified, then there's a certain percentage of jobs that they have to give to those groups. So it will help us as we start navigating like the commercial contracts and the federal contracts. And that's a whole learning curve too. So we've been like learning more about that and researching and studying up on that kind of stuff and trying to figure that out. So it'll just help our business grow. So it's really exciting because it took a lot of work and it was a big headache kind of. So I feel like it was just a good lesson in like you can't always expect that instant gratification. Like it was like literally years that I've been waiting to get this. And I could have got denied. You know what I mean? Like they could have said, we don't agree with this, that, or the other document you sent. So
Hours and hours of work.
hours and hours of work and time and headache and stress. So I'm excited about that. That was a big accomplishment for our business. And then I'm going to start working on our state paperwork next, which I heard is more of a bear than the federal stuff. But since I've already done it, I'm not really that worried about it.
Right.
It can't be that much more information that I already have gathered up. So
I told you last night, it's a good thing that one of us follows through and one of us has good ideas because I come up with these ideas, but I would never be able to do them on my own. Even like this podcast, there's so much work that goes into it. All the different social media platforms. I like the idea, but actually doing all that work, I lose interest pretty quick.
Yeah.
Lesa is like, make sure everything is done all the way to the end and to a T. So
It's a lot of work.
it works out good.
It does work out good. It's lucky because
It's not my fault that I'm the one that was blessed with the easy part.
Jesse just does what he loves, which is running equipment, and then I do the rest. No, but you work hard. But no, I think it's good because I naturally, like, I always made good grades in school and stuff just because like I felt like, you know what I mean? I have to do this. I have to accomplish these tasks. I have to get this stuff done. I can't like slack on anything. So that's a blessing and a curse because I drive myself crazy trying to perfect things. And Jesse's like, it's fine. Just move on. Even with the podcast, I'm like editing. He's like, it's fine. Just post it. Who cares? And I'm like, no, like I have to make it good. That's why we had to scale back on how often we put them out because I was spending so much time in the podcast studio and I seriously didn't have time for it with our real business work. So I guess the point is that it is good to have a partner in business that you balance each other because we don't really butt heads a whole lot because we're doing such separate things, So it's like you're not in the office trying to accomplish the things that I'm working on. I don't know. It just works out good. But that was something good for our business that it was just a reminder of like not letting a long-term goal like deter you from pursuing it. Like I knew it would take a long time to get that certification. And I even did put it off for a while, even doing it, because I'm like, I don't have time. So it's like, but I finally, like, little by little, started gathering all my stuff and like, just freaking do it, Lisa, just do it. And that's why I was like working in the evenings and doing all this stuff, and it paid off.
Yeah.
So that should hopefully help us for years to come.
So this week we're bidding 2 commercial jobs.
Yeah.
And we're just trying to navigate all that because there's a lot of work out there.
Yeah. And it's a learning curve. And I think that goes like Jesse and I have talked about that, not getting like stagnant and like stuck where you are and like always being willing to look for more that you can do for yourself and your business. And like, I want to do commercial work, but it is like a scary thing because I don't understand. Like I'm looking at plans and bid documents and it's like a lot to wrap your head around. And it's a big learning curve for both of us.
Right.
Even though Jesse could go, he understands it all. It's just a different ball game. So it's just one of those things like you can't be afraid to try stuff because even if we go in and our bid's super duper high and like stupid high and so we don't win, it's like who cares? At least we got in there and we tried and we like worked through it from start to finish. So it's a learning.
We're starting off high and we've been high. We've bid a couple so far and we were high, but I'd rather be high than way under. So I'm just getting a feel of where everybody's at on everything as we're doing this because we've done residential mostly, and it's completely different than figuring commercial specs. So
again, there's so many like different like rules and like things like you could do a residential job correctly because Jesse knows how to shoot grade and how to do the job from start to finish. But in commercial jobs, there's just so many like little bitty like fine tooth things that they
Right. You got
want.
to wait for this guy to approve this.
Yeah,
And
and
it's
like
like, how do you figure
testing
how long
and
that will take if you're at the mercy of another
yeah.
company?
So that's just kind
You
of like
know? Yeah.
it's just a different thing to figure out. But again,
But
it's
we're going to
like
do it.
we're excited to do it. We're excited to try something new and do more big things, big
Yep.
jobs.
We bought a little job trailer today.
Hmm.
Each job that we go on, we're going to have some sort of trailer to put blueprints, JSAs, sign-in sheets, stuff like that,
Yeah.
safety data sheets, and we're gonna rather rent a trailer, a job trailer, or buy one. And I found one that we can pick up with a skid steer. It's like a miniature one, but
But
that's
it's
all we
enough.
need
It's all you
until we
need.
outgrow it and we
Yes.
need something bigger. Then we're gonna use, and it just what I bought will pay for itself in one rental. So, and we're gonna redo it, fix it up. It'll be something for the guys to do. If I need, filler time for anything, we got a rain
Yeah.
day, then bam, we got a job trailer to work on that's sitting in the shop. So,
And that's another thing, like a reminder of like you don't always have to buy the newest, nicest stuff right out the gate. Like we don't have to waste our money on a big, nice, brand new job trailer that's not really going to produce any income. We just need a job trailer that is decent, that works for now. So like down the road, you can always improve and get better, nicer stuff, but it doesn't have to be like you don't
doesn't have
want
to be
junky
blinging.
stuff, but it
Right.
doesn't have to be bling. It doesn't have to be like, again, like showing off for who. Doesn't matter. It's a job trailer.
Definitely
Like
don't want junky stuff because I do
there's
believe
a
that,
fine line between,
yeah,
yeah.
when you got nice stuff, people know that you've obviously worked hard for it. Typically, that's how I like to
And you're
feel.
reinvesting in the business and stuff. And
Right. So,
but you
we're
don't
going
want
to
to
completely
go
redo it, but
right.
the money we'll have in buying it and redoing it will be still less than
We'll be
one
way
rental.
ahead on it. Yeah.
Just have found a contractor that had one and he was out of business and he's like, yeah. And I talked him down on it and he
Yeah.
accepted quite a bit, like half of what he wanted.
Yeah. And that was just
So
on like the internet. Jesse found it. And like
Facebook, Marketplace, sitting
yeah,
on the shitter scrolling.
where you find your best deal.
Yeah.
But even like we've rented this office while we look for a bigger office space to purchase, and it's a smaller office and we need desks and furniture for the office. And that's a thing, like, man, brand new desks, big desks, that's expensive. And it's like I hate spending money on that stuff. Like we've got money, but like to spend a bunch of money on desks, like I like to use that
Right.
on different things.
Especially if you can find a good desk. So
Right.
I got on Marketplace and
You
hopped
can
back on the shitter.
find such such nice stuff that's like gently used, like because
Yeah.
you can always buy newer, nicer office furniture. But
Right.
like, so yeah, Jesse found a steal on these really nice, solid desks that
They're solid. They're
in
a
great
solid
shape.
oak desk. They came from a State Farm building.
Yeah, so they're taken care of.
They're in good shape. They're big U shape. I got 3 U-shaped desks and an L shape, heavy as hell.
Plenty of room for like plans and workload,
File
and
cabinets on them
yeah,
for $200.
that's an insane
That's an
deal.
insane deal. They're all oak. They got a glass top that you can put on it
Yeah.
if you want.
And it was like a little headache. It was like a 2-hour drive to go pick them up. And some people be like, oh, that's too far. But it's like, it's really not. We paid a
Right.
couple guys for 4 to 5 hours one day to go pick those up.
Yep.
And then we are way ahead on the desks. So stuff like that, like they're still nice, but they don't have to be like brand new glam,
Right.
custom made desk for this little office that we're starting out with. Like,
Right.
I definitely think that was a great deal and a good move.
Yep.
So
Yeah, I've almost got the same amount in the little box job
yeah,
trailer.
as the desk.
I might have a whole Fortune 500 crew here for $1,000.
Yeah, that's the way we like to do it.
Yeah. But so yeah, we got a lot of exciting stuff going on. We're moving into our office. We got a new sign made. It's gonna look good. It's gonna go downtown Carterville. So that's gonna be exciting. Save May
Yeah.
Excavating, right? First thing you see when you come into town. First building.
Yeah.
Kind of one of the first.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's gonna be fun to be down. That's our hometown. So it'll be like fun to have an office down there. We might even stay there longer. We just did a short-term lease because we were looking for something to buy, but I think we'll end up staying there for a while
Yeah.
because it is a great location. It's not too far from our house. It's like easy to get in and out.
Right.
There's
It's got a little shop behind it.
Yeah,
That we can store
that'll be
stuff
huge.
in. Yeah. So that's a plus. And the landlord's great.
yeah.
Besides that, we're just revving up for summer here. It is super busy. I have looked at jobs
Mm-hmm.
every night of the week after work, pretty much.
Yeah, I think you
Besides
have.
baseball, we
Besides
have
baseball
baseball
nights.
Wednesday night. Like right now, when people are calling, I'm thinking next Friday evening, and it's Monday, so it'll be like 2 weeks
2 weeks.
away almost before I can even get over there to see it. I've had a lot
But
of calls.
people will wait if they know that you're a quality company.
Oh yeah,
And like when you have good reviews and referrals, like they'll
yeah,
wait for you to come look at it, they'll wait for the bid. But yeah, I mean, Jesse's still working on a big commercial job right now, long hours. So it's like the last thing he, I'm sure, wants to do is get off work and go look at jobs. But he's always trying to set us up for the future. Like he's never, he's like, we'll figure it out, like getting those jobs done. And
yeah. And like you said, I've had people tell me, I just tell them up front, we're 6 weeks out or we're 6 months out. I've told them 6 months. And one time I told a guy we were a year out, and he said, okay. And I was like, you want me to put you on the schedule? And he was like, yep.
for 1
And I
year.
was like, 1 year, where I'm telling you we're booked up for a full year. And he was like, yeah, that's fine. I'll wait for you. He's like, you got great reviews and somebody referred you.
Yeah.
I wonder if we ever went to that guy. I think
I was just thinking, who was that
I don't
guy?
remember. I don't know. That year later, I don't know if I ever called
I'm
him
sure we
back.
had it somewhere. We we have a whiteboard to keep track of most of our stuff, and then also I've got most everything in my Google Calendar, which saves our
Right.
lives.
A
And
whiteboard is probably the worst place when you said that. Like everything's data, and we were talking to that guy the other day about how he backs up all his data
oh
when he said,
yeah,
and we got it on a whiteboard where you could lean up against it and it wipe off and like everything disappear.
maybe it's not the best place.
It's
No,
like Gone in 60
I
Seconds where they have all the cars and they just wipe it off real quick when
I have
the
our stuff in other places, and I do need to be better about backing up and all
yeah,
that stuff too. But like, I have everything in my phone, and then I have bids and contracts. I print those out and store them. But yeah, if there was like a fire, we'd lose. I'd have it in my phone. But it'd be really
yeah,
hard to retrace our steps of what we had coming up. That's a good point. See, we just learn as we go. It's
yeah.
not that I know in the back of my head, like, I need to get a better system. And I actually talked to a lady about that today, about having a company come in and do like some networking IT stuff for us, because I just feel like I do back up my stuff, my information on the computer, but not enough. And I don't feel that it's efficient and like organized. And
Right.
I want someone to help us, like between your computer, my computer, our new guy's computer. I need to like sync all of this together somehow, or most of
Mhm.
it. And that's just stuff that, yeah, I could figure out, but I don't have time to sit there and like mess around on
Just
the
call the guys
computer.
that know how to do
Yeah,
it.
I'm gonna call a company and say, like, help me set this up so it works better for our company and we all have easy access to the things we need
We should put a
quickly.
TV where the whiteboard is and just have it showing the jobs down to like coming off the computer hard
Yeah,
drive.
it's not a bad idea. I do like the whiteboard. I'm like old school. I like pen and paper. I like
Hmm.
file cabinets.
Right.
I really do. I like being able to grab a file out of the cabinet and find what I need. Like, I hate storing stuff on my computer. I feel like it gets lost.
Or you don't know where it was, or
I know.
just
I wish I wasn't that way, but I really do love paper, hand, and like a whiteboard, writing stuff down. But I need to be better about, well, I think if I organized the computer better and had better system, I would utilize it. I mean, I utilize it, but I just feel like I would like
right.
it more. It would work better for me.
It's easy for us to use laptops, but
Hmm.
now as we're growing, we're probably gonna have to get
I
desktops
know.
with
I was thinking that
hard
too.
drives.
Well, I have an external hard drive. That's like a thing you buy and you plug it in and transfer all your stuff to it.
Mm.
But I do see the benefit in having like a
What
desktop computer.
what else is on your external hard drive?
Just business stuff, Jesse. That's all.
You got a personal hard drive you're carrying around. I didn't know about it. You a spy?
Yeah, I'm a spy. That's it for sure.
You really been putting in some work the last 10 years.
Yeah, I'm busy.
Yeah, and even with the saving stuff to hard drives and the IT stuff, like we met with a guy the other day that was like 68, and he was just kind of giving us some tips about, some things he does with his business and different ways he, schedules guys and stuff because we're asking him, we're curious.
And this is a totally different business than we have.
Yeah,
And this is just someone that is like an acquaintance, and we've used his business for things. And literally, if you just ask business owners stuff, like when you're in their presence, like most people will share, like
hmm,
they're happy to help, because especially if they're
yeah,
older than you and they've been in business longer and they've learned all these tricks along the way. He was so
so helpful.
helpful. Oh my,
Yeah,
I was like,
I couldn't believe how
can I
tech
pay
savvy
you
he
a
was.
consultant fee to like help me set up my computers? Like literally, that's how I felt. I was in shock of
Yeah,
how this man is so smart. A lot of men in business, I don't think, I mean, not a lot, I shouldn't say that. Often when men that I meet in business aren't super tech savvy and have
Right.
an office gal or office somebody that's just in the office handle all that stuff, all the office computer stuff. No, no, no. This gentleman was on
He had it.
it.
Yeah, he
I
had
was,
it figured out.
I
He
mean,
made his own like apps and his own
he was backing up here,
programs.
backing up there. He had Excel spreadsheets that blew my mind. I was
Right.
like, I was in awe. Like,
He had
I
it.
hope someday I'm that good.
Yeah. So it was just, we walked out of that, and that was just a chance meeting of us. Like she said, we were talking to another business owner
Hmm.
and asking for tips, and he opened up and was like, "Yeah, I'll show you all kinds of cool stuff that you could do." And we're like,
Yeah.
we walked out of there and we're like, "Wow, we're living
Yeah.
in the Stone Age.
We are.
Like, what's
We
going on
are.
here?" This
Uh,
dude's 68 and he was navigating a
oh my,
computer like
so impressive.
I'm sitting here still like, a, no,
You've come a
I'm
long
not that
way.
bad. I
Jesse's
can
come a
kind
long
of go,
way.
but I'm not very good.
From the beginning, you've come a long way. You do
Yeah.
pretty good on there.
I know how to get on there and click on the Facebook icon and the TikTok icon.
Oh yeah.
And the little, Lisa's made it like a super dummy little template, so it's like super easy for me to do stuff. I get on there,
On bids
it's
and
like
stuff.
big letters, Jesse, I click it, then my page is there and I click it. So like everything I do on the computer's very simple.
Yeah.
The rest of it I have you like, even copy, I'm like, how do you copy and paste?
Yeah.
You got to tell me every time.
Because Jesse had no experience on a computer at all. Because
Right.
even when you were in school, which you dropped out young, there
We-
wasn't, you weren't
seventh
on
grade, we had a
computers
computer
much.
class.
But it's not like,
It was like Oregon Trail.
yeah, it wasn't like Microsoft and all this,
No.
programs and typing and all this stuff. So yeah, you learned from at like 30.
I learned from you everything,
Yeah.
literally, that I
I
know
feel bad. I
about
feel like I haven't
computer.
taught you that much. We need to go over some more stuff.
That's
But
why I'm still sitting there like this. I look over at you and you're just typing and talking, and I'm like, hold on.
I've worked in offices though so much, and I went to college and stuff, and so I think I even took typing in high school. I think typing was a class. That's funny. It was on a computer.
My grandma used to type on a typewriter
Yeah.
like so fast,
Oh yeah.
just
Isn't that crazy?
like a real typewriter, be going back and
Mhm.
forth. And she can still do it on a calculator. Have you seen her on a calculator?
Yes, I can do that. From
Can
when I
you?
worked at the water office, not, I'm sure, nearly as good as your grandma
I
because
mean,
she's the
it's so
bomb.
fast.
But I used to not have to look. I haven't done it in so long, but we used to have to add all the bills and stuff. I used to work at the water office and I could do it without looking. Like
Yeah.
I knew where, like your fingers memorized where all the numbers
Like,
are.
how does
It's
I'd have to
crazy.
look and make sure I hit the plus sign one time or not mess up. But like,
It's
she can just be
your
sitting there.
fingers get trained. It's the weirdest thing. You don't even have to look up. Like I know what you mean. Like you glance and make sure you're still going good, and you
Right.
check yourself. But it's crazy when you use those, like how quick. And same with typing. And I hate typing on laptops. That's not. I mean, no one cares about that. But like, I would rather have a desktop computer. I just like the
Yeah.
keyboards better. The laptops are so flat. I like can't type nearly as fast.
It's funny talking about the typewriter because when my grandparents closed their business, they kept their office and they had all their files and stuff.
Mhm.
And then before my cousin bought it, or maybe when my cousin bought it, I think it was before, I was up there and I saw some of the old papers that were in there, like, I don't know, in a stack. I was looking through stuff on the desk
Hmm.
and you could see it was like stuff was typewritten.
Yeah.
Like everything she was doing back then.
Oh my
mostly.
God.
I'm sure their printer, because they did have computers. Like when my cousin bought their office, they still had like a yellow old school 80s
Computer
computer with
box.
like a monitor under it,
Because they retired, I think, in the late 90s, right? Or early
It was like,
2000s, something like
no,
that.
it's like, let's see, I was born in 84. It's probably mid 90s.
So yeah, the computers weren't like,
That's probably like 13 or 14. So it was probably late 90s.
yeah. So yeah, they
Yeah,
ran
they
their
were
whole
old school.
big business. That's just how you did it.
Off typewriters.
Yeah.
And like even when they would go bid work, they would have to go to Marion, look at the plans. They couldn't just get them on the computer.
Oh yeah.
Like I don't know how you would go over there and look at all these bid, lettings coming out.
Right.
Now we just hop on the computer every night and bam, there's all the jobs that are coming
Yeah, it
out
would have been
for
tough.
bid.
It was tougher and also easier, I think. I think it was a different world. I think now
Yeah.
there's a lot of rules and
And a
regulations
lot of people doing it.
and a lot of people doing it. And I think that there's just different difficulties, like for the times. You know what I mean? Like I know they had a lot of hurdles and obstacles that would have made, like just not even having cell phones and being able to
Right.
communicate through
They
the
had
day.
CBs.
Yeah.
My grandma had a big base station. I think it had like a diamond in it.
Oh,
that
probably.
something had to have a diamond to transmit
Oh,
it
I
that
just thought
far.
because she was fancy.
No, I think it was like the transmitter. It made it transmit further, this
Whoa,
diamond. And she had a base station at the office and the house. And then all their work trucks had CBs in them and they could talk from far away.
that's
They didn't have to be
crazy.
like a mile. She could be there. Yeah, and they would CB radio or she would call,
She
I
said
don't know who.
when she went into labor with one of her kids, she called like Jesse's grandpa was on a job. I want to say like somewhere south. I might mess up the story. 45 minutes, hour away. I don't know. She went into labor and called like a local bar or restaurant where she knew they went for lunch and said, "This is Vivian May. If Charlie May comes there for lunch, or send someone to find Charlie May, let him know I'm having the baby. I'll be at the hospital." Click, and drove
Right.
herself to the hospital. And then someone down in this town, they got the
Went and found
message to
him.
him on the job site. Isn't that crazy? Like
Right.
that's how they would
That's how
do
they
it.
do it. Yeah.
But like when we in business, we talk. Jesse and I talk all day, 100 times a day. I bet we talk, text about business stuff going on, questions, whatever, figuring stuff out. So I can't imagine even in employees not being able to be in touch. Like that would be a big difficulty. Like, oh my
Right.
gosh.
My grandpa was a banker actually. He went to the army. When he got home, he was a bank teller. And then from bank teller, like he wasn't even around excavating or nothing. And this is way back. I don't know what year, probably the 60s.
60s probably, I guess.
Somewhere
Your
near my
dad was
dad
born
was
in the
born,
early
probably the
60s,
late
so
60s.
yeah.
And a guy had a backhoe and he was selling it. My grandpa bought it off of him, never ran a backhoe. And he got a job at SIU with that backhoe. There wasn't a whole lot of people with a backhoe back
Yeah.
then. And when he got done with that job, he had 6 backhoes.
That's so
So the
crazy. So
first
he was
job he went
reinvesting in
to,
his business.
yeah, he
Yeah.
reinvested and he got a bunch more backhoes while he's there,
Wow.
doing a bunch of work at SIU.
And just taught himself. Or he must have known
hmm
somebody who taught him how to run it.
Uh, I mean, he had some buddies that were in the
But
industry.
for the most part, I guess he did teach himself. Isn't
Yeah.
that crazy? No YouTube. There's no looking it up.
No, I was talking to Scott Abel yesterday, which is another contractor here, and he was talking about Charlie, and he was like, Charlie was just the nicest guy you ever saw. He's like, he was real nice, but man, he was an asshole. He
What
was
a great way to
mean. Yeah,
describe somebody.
he was mean. I was
That's
like, yeah. He's
funny.
like, yeah, he was stuck in his ways. Yeah, good old grandpa.
Yeah.
All right, well, till next time, we got a lot going on. I'm hoping we got some big things coming up. So in the future, we're gonna have some big news for us, anyways. I don't know about you guys, but for us, it's big news. And then the next episode should be my buddy Ben Mace from Florida
Yeah.
is supposed to be coming up.
Which is
So
cool. An old
he's
friend.
he's a good dude. We'll have some good stories to tell from back in my childhood. And I haven't seen him in years, so it'd
Yeah.
be good to catch up with him. So
And hopefully my best friend Leah will be here next weekend to visit. And I'm hoping that we can take over the podcast and do one with her. She's also a business owner. So is her husband. And she's just really funny and really cool.
the
So
wife
the
takeover.
wife takeover. It'll be a good
Okay.
episode, I think. I'm
Yeah.
hoping we work it out.
The person she's talking about will probably be dancing on this table by the time it's
Doing
over.
backflips.
Doing backflips. She is like the most acrobatic
Yeah.
person.
She's the coolest person, the coolest friend I have.
Yeah, she's funny. All right, guys. We'll see you in 2 weeks. Thanks for listening. Reckless Success. All right, guys. We're going to wrap up. You can follow us on TikTok and YouTube at reckless.success, Instagram at recklesssuccess. We're on Spotify and all major podcast services. Hit that subscribe button, please. For more information on May Excavating, check out our website or TikTok. That's a wrap. Thanks.